Well, from the looks of things, sir, I'd say they are here to audition for the remaining slot in the fabulous super race.
Is this some kind of a joke? A pussycat and a mouse? This show is about crazy stunts and people putting their lives at risk for a big fat prize. It's not a nature documentary. Irving, call security and have these two...
Sir, it's... him. This always gives me the creeps, sir.
He's the president of Hollywood. He's supposed to give you the creeps.
Greetings, your tinseliness, imperious leader of Hollywood.
By the way, if you see your mom this weekend, be sure and tell her...
Satan! Satan! Satan!
An old friend and famous literary figure and occultist, Frank Harris, kindly took him under his roof. Frank Harris lived with a woman by the name of Nellie O'Hara. If what has been written in later years can be believed, Nellie had a friend in America, Pauline Pierce, who was married to Marvin Pierce, head of the McCall Corporation. In early 1924, Pauline traveled to France to stay with her friend. Thus it was that four individuals came together: Frank Harris, Nellie O'Hara, Pauline Pierce, and Aleister Crowley. According to Crowley's diaries, during this period in Paris, Crowley underwent the supreme ordeal, linked with his realization of the grade of ipsissimus. According to a description of the rite, on the appointed day, the candidate is attended by one or more chosen and experienced attendants whose duty is A. to exhaust him sexually by every known means, B. to rouse him sexually by every known means. Every device and artifice of the courtesan is to be employed, and every stimulant known to the physician. If Crowley did go through this ordeal in 1924, then it is highly likely, based on his previous experiences, that his closest associates of that time, including Nellie and Pauline, performed as his magical assistants. Pauline Pierce returned to America in early October of 1924. 8 months later, on June the 8th, 1925, she gave birth to a girl named Barbara. Barbara Pierce married George H.W. Bush, who eventually became the 41st President of the United States, and they had a son, George W. Bush, the 43rd President of the United States. Could the wickedest man in the world, Aleister Crowley, be George W. Bush's grandfather?
The descendants of King Anu in Sumeria and Babylon can be traced throughout time. The pharaohs of Egypt were from the bloodlines of the Babylonian kings. The rulers of the Roman Empire can be traced to Egyptian hierarchy. All throughout Europe, the royal families can be traced back to the great Roman emperors. 34 of the presidents of the United States are directly descended from European royalty, with the remaining 8 who are only closely related to these same bloodlines. In 1934, President Franklin Roosevelt placed the Great Seal, originally created in 1782 by the Freemasons, on the dollar bill. Represented in the Great Seal is a pyramid and the all-seeing eye, known to be used by the elusive society, the Illuminati. Strung together in conspiratorial confusion are secret societies such as the Illuminati, the Freemasons, and the Bohemian Club. In 1917, National Geographic did a story on a place in Montreal, California called Bohemian Grove. The story reports a place where the world's elite, members of the Bohemian Club, retreat to in late July and conduct an ancient occult ceremony called the Cremation of Care. Every year in July, the world's leaders, media moguls, and members of the World Bank spend 2 weeks of what is known as a men-only retreat at the Grove. In the year 2000, ABC television show World of Wonder infiltrated Bohemian Grove with hidden cameras and aired the video on the BBC. The video shows the large mass of men donning red and black robes and once again conducting the Cremation of Care ceremony. The altar is at the base of a 200-foot owl, the Babylonian symbol of the god Moloch, the god of human sacrifice. In the video, a body is delivered upriver to the altar where it is set on fire. Upon being aired, members of the Bohemian Club reported that the ceremony is a put-on, merely done for entertainment and fun. This history tells a story of our world leaders having a deep involvement in satanic tradition.
If this were a dictatorship, it'd be a heck of a lot easier. Just so long as I'm the dictator.
Congress shall now vote for approval of H.R. 8791, the Homeland Terrorism Preparedness Bill. Said bill requests emergency response funding up to and including, this section is classified, dollars to prepare for a national level terrorist attack and or attack from classified. Funding for first responder personnel and vehicles would be doubled if said attack leads to more than 80% of national population being affected by classified. This funding shall commence in conjunction with the first attack on classified, or the first large-scale outbreak of classified, dependent upon which comes first. Civilian and military units shall be trained in containment and combat of classified, including irradiated classified, with possibility of classified airborne, classified flesh-eating, classified, and or all of the above in such event as classified spewing, classified escape, are released or otherwise become uncontrollable. Air Force units may also be directed to combat said classified due to their enormous size and otherworldly strengths. Should event occur in urban areas, that's classified, far surpassing our darkest nightmares. Should casualties exceed classified body disposal actions shall be halted and associated resources shall be reallocated to classified underground classified protected birthing centers, a new Bill of Rights shall be drafted and approved by classified. Having now reviewed the bill, I ask you to please cast your vote.
Some of the least noticed and least discussed changes in the law were the changes made to the Insurrection Act of 1807 and to Posse Comitatus by the Defense Authorization Act of 2007. These changes pose a threat to the survival of our republic by giving the President the power to declare martial law for as little reason as to restore public order. The 1807 Act severely restricted the President in his use of the military within the United States borders, and the Posse Comitatus Act of 1878 strengthened these restrictions with strict oversight by Congress. The new law allows the President to circumvent the restrictions of both laws. The Insurrection Act has now become the, quote, Enforcement of the Laws to Restore Public Order Act, close quote. This is hardly a title that suggests that the authors cared about or understood the nature of a constitutional republic. Now, martial law can be declared not just for insurrection, but also for natural disasters, public health reasons, terrorist attacks or incidents, or for the vague reason called other conditions. The President can call up the National Guard without congressional approval or the governor's approval, and even send these state guard troops into other states. The American Republic is in remnant status. The stage is set for our country eventually devolving into a military dictatorship, and few seem to care. These precedent-setting changes in the law are extremely dangerous and will change American jurisprudence forever if not revised. The beneficial results of our revolt against the king's abuses are about to be eliminated, and few members of Congress and few Americans are aware of the seriousness of the situation.
When the president can kill whoever he wants, then he's not a president anymore, he's a king.
To start assassinating American citizens without charges, we should think very seriously about this.
There aren't even any charges filed against him other than what the president's people have publicly said about him. Can we just say that because of what we think he said to somebody in a foreign country, he's lost his right to life, and American agents can just kill him?
If the American people accept this blindly and casually, that we now have an accepted practice of the president assassinating people who he thinks are bad guys, I think it's sad.
I strongly object to the president institutionalizing a policy that explicitly says that he has the authority to target American citizens because he believes they're bad people. You don't protect bad people because they deserve it. You protect bad people and go through the process because you think a lot about innocent American people never being treated in this manner. This is something that this is major in many ways about following the rule of law.
I can remember here at Fox arguing in the hypothetical whether or not the president could order an American killed, and everybody was recoiled at even the thought of it. Now, it doesn't even make the front pages. What about the Constitution? What about life, liberty, and property? What about the very obligations imposed on the government in the document that created the government itself?
Well, that's the whole point of the document in the Bill of Rights. Our ancestors tried to protect us against this omnipotent type of power. That was the whole idea. They said, look, the greatest threat to our freedom, the freedom of the American people, is this federal government that we're calling into existence. And to protect the people from this government, we're going to have the Bill of Rights and constitutional limitations.
The Nobel Peace Prize winner has just announced and authorized that he has told the CIA that it can assassinate American citizens in direct violation of the Constitution's Due Process Clause, in violation of federal law, and in violation of treaties to which the U.S. is a party. The Due Process Clause to the Constitution states that no person, whether they're overseas or in the U.S., may be deprived of life, liberty, or property by the government without due process of law, which means a jury trial.
He was never tried or charged for any crimes. Nobody knows if he ever